Dr. Allison Campbell watched her boss light $1 million on fire. She brought in a famous author, top-tier program, executives met once a month, everyone went through the motions, and here's the part that made her stomach churn. Her boss thought the problem was the team needed the program. It wasn't. The problem was that nobody on that team trusted each other. Nobody trusted the boss. And the program gave everyone a place to hide from that truth instead of facing it. I've been building leadership teams for decades, and I can tell you this: no amount of money, no matter how famous the author, will solve the underlying problem if the underlying problem is your team isn't being honest with each other or with you. I'm Mitch Simon. I work with CEOs of rapidly growing companies to diagnose and rebuild the coordination architecture their leadership teams are running on. Today, I'm going to show you why your leadership program isn't working, what the real problem actually is, and what it takes to build a team that can coordinate and execute without you having to do everything yourself. What many CEOs do when they see executive dysfunction is they meet a best-selling author, and the best-selling author says the problem is, you need my program. They spend $1 million. Their team meets once a month, and the individuals hide behind the program. Dr. Allison Campbell's boss brought in a top-tier program backed by a winning author and spent $1 million to have executives meet once per month. The boss thought the problem was the team needed the program, but here's what was actually happening. The individuals on that team couldn't be vulnerable, couldn't trust each other, couldn't rally around a vision, and had no way to coordinate action towards achieving it. They just went through the motions. The typical program says we do X in month 1, we do Y in month 2. It gives you a curriculum, but it doesn't address the actual problem that everyone sees but no one admits. We don't trust you, the boss, and we don't trust each other. They see that their boss is not paying attention to the real problem, so they hide behind the program. And until you realize that the off-the-shelf program doesn't address the lack of trust, no amount of money, no matter how famous the author, will solve the underlying issue. The team is exhausted, disengaged, overworked, and they're not ready to move on until this has been addressed head on. If you're about to hire a best-selling author or bring in a famous program, stop. Ask yourself, what's the real problem my team won't admit out loud? Do we trust each other? Do they trust me? If the answer is no, or if nobody will answer honestly, that's your real starting point, not module 1 of a curriculum. No program can create trust. Trust has to be built through specific conversations and kept promises, not purchased. I recently gave a team of 10 executives a leadership 360. In every case in the past, each executive would receive their 360, and that was the end of it. But now, with AI, we can run the 360s through a system that factually tells us the problem is not the people. Every leader on this team was incredible. All their direct reports loved them. The 360s came back glowing. So what was the problem? The team was set up and encouraged to create highly functional departments. And they succeeded. They built incredible silos. And now they couldn't even see the possibility of working together towards something larger than their departments. They didn't have a vision. They didn't have a way to communicate across functions. They didn't have values that were bought into by everyone. They didn't know how to hold each other accountable for something bigger than themselves. Here's what most people don't understand. Individual leadership skills, leader to direct report, is overrated once you sit on an executive team. It should be expected that an executive already have those skills. Those are table stakes. It's easy to hold someone accountable who works for you. If they don't do their job, you can let them go. That conversation is straightforward. But the architectural difference at the executive level is the conversations. The conversations are about how are we doing living according to our values? Where are we keeping our word and where are we not keeping our word? Where are we being honest with each other and where are we not? How are we challenging each other to be better? How are we communicating our decisions? How are we collectively defining the bar and exceeding it. All of these are conversations where team members share in keeping a promise to each other without anyone having leverage over another. To get there takes time, but you'll never get there if you don't know what you're working for. Stop investing in individual leadership development for executives who already have those skills. The work is building the infrastructure for peer-to-peer conversations that nobody has leverage to force. And that's a completely different challenge. I work with a CEO who has a team where everyone feels mistrusted. The CEO feels that all the team members never deliver on time and never deliver quality work. And the CEO refuses to provide the context for what excellence looks like. His requests are vague. Every time he asks for something, the due date is now. He believes they're not committed when they turn in assignments late. But here's what's actually happening. They work overtime trying to please him, which is impossible because he's not specific in what he wants. Behind closed doors, he determines what he wants, but he doesn't share it and ends up doing it himself. And his people feel unappreciated. Look, it's very vulnerable to ask for what you want. When you're specific about it, you then must be satisfied when you get it. When you're not specific about it, you end up doing the work yourself and your people feel like you don't trust them. CEOs must provide context. They must provide the goalposts. They must define what excellence looks like. Without that, the team is guessing the CEO is disappointed and the cycle of mistrust accelerates. This CEO is creating the exact dysfunction he's complaining about by refusing to be vulnerable and specific. The team can't coordinate if they don't know what they're coordinating toward. If you're a CEO who constantly redoes your team's work, ask yourself honestly, did I give them specific conditions of satisfaction? Because a promise requires three things: a requester, a provider, and specific conditions of satisfaction. Without all three, there is no promise. There's just wishful thinking. If this is landing for you and you're realizing the problem in your leadership team isn't the people, it's the coordination architecture, I work with CEOs of growing companies to diagnose and rebuild that system through strategic retreat facilitation. If you want to understand what that looks like for your team, the link is in the description. The tools that always lead to a team success is how to speak effectively in the language of creating results. We cover what is a fact and what is an assessment, and why that distinction changes everything about how a team operates. What's a fact? An observation that can be verified by multiple people in the same way. What's an assessment? It's an interpretation, a judgment, an opinion about a fact. And here's the key. When someone makes an assessment, the assessment they're making has more to do about the person making the assessment than about what they're actually assessing. One person hears the same number and assesses we're behind. Another hears the same number and assesses we're on track. Same fact, different assessment. And people are usually not using care when they're making their assessments. The goal of a team is to come to a common assessment about what their situation is. Without the distinction, teams argue about opinions disguised as facts, and nothing moves forward. Next, what's a promise? Well, a promise must contain a provider, a customer, and specific conditions of satisfaction. Without specific conditions of satisfaction, there's no promise. We also talk about what it is to honor a promise and what it is to be satisfied for the promise that was created. Only when the team has these specific language models can the CEO step away and trust the promises the team makes will actually be achieved. In your next executive meeting, practice the fact assessment distinction. When someone says they're behind, ask, is that a fact or an assessment? Get multiple assessments. Come to a shared assessment as a team. When you make a request, include all three elements: provider, customer, specific conditions of satisfaction. Practice satisfaction. When someone delivers on the conditions you set, say, I'm satisfied, or if you're not, your conditions weren't specific enough. Here's what I want you to take from this. Your leadership team dysfunction is almost never a people problem. It's an architecture problem. The programs fail because they don't address the trust gap. The 360s come back glowing because the individuals are exceptional, but the team was never designed to coordinate. The CEO creates a dysfunction by refusing to be specific. The fix isn't another program. It's rebuilding how your team coordinates, communicates, and holds each other accountable from the ground up. If this video changed how you're thinking about what's actually broken in your leadership team, here's one more I want you to watch. It's called the $650 million leadership lesson most CEOs never learn. It's the story behind everything I just showed you, and why the CEOs who scale don't have smarter people, they have better coordination systems and the courage to build them. I'll link it right here. Go watch it. I'll see you there.